Welcome to Politics and Psychology. I'm Dr. Renee Carr, and please introduce yourself in the chat or on social media. So today is going to be pretty fun. We're talking about my reaction to the Real Housewives of Dubai. In the recent episode, there were two castmates, one Caroline B and the other Sara. Sara has an honorary doctorate certificate, and Caroline B was very upset in the reaction. So let's go look at the scene. In the scene, we have Sara giving family advice and parenting advice and emotional advice to Caroline B with Caroline's interactions with her own son. So this goes on for one or two episodes, and Caroline is repeatedly arguing and accusing Sara of being a fake doctor. I'm not going to listen to a fake doctor who got her degree from a women's group, etc. And then in the last episode, we see Sara saying, well, I've earned my degree and I've earned the right to do and call myself a doctor. So what I will react to as a real doctor is telling you the truth. So when someone has an honorary doctorate is just an honorary title that is very short term. So think of it as if someone has been made mayor for the day. That person is not really the mayor. That person doesn't have any legislative or any legal authority to act within that city. And it's the same thing when you have an honorary doctorate. It's just an honorary title for that day, for a celebration, and to just try to make, the other person feel special and maybe increase tourism for that city or that state. That's the same thing with honorary doctorates. Honorary doctorate certificates, it just means you just have a certificate that you were being honored for that particular time. You are not a real doctor. It is not an actual degree. And persons with these certificates are not supposed to be called doctor. But what's happening is because it's such a big business to sell these certificates nowadays, you can buy one for $350, or you can just give a huge donation to a very prestigious university, and then you automatically will get one. So what people need to understand is that the majority of honorary doctorates are either given to celebrities, or if you're not a celebrity, they are regular people who are paying for these titles so that they can then go use that to then market themselves on social media, to sell tickets to you, to make you think they have expertise and you can go and buy their books, or so you can have coaching sessions, etc. with them. So remember that an honorary doctorate is a sale and not an actual honor. The problem we have when we go back and look at Caroline B and Sara is that Sara was actually causing emotional harm to Caroline B. Sara is giving advice from the perspective that she is an expert because she's using the title doctor. And this is where the do no harm is coming in. Because she's not a doctor and because she doesn't have the training for ethics or when and how you approach someone with giving advice, she is giving advice using it under the guise of being a quote unquote doctor. And then the reason why the intensity ensues and reason why it's happening for so long, meaning in two episodes, is because Caroline is truly emotionally hurt by this. So Caroline is reacting to someone who is appearing to be an authority figure, appearing to be an expert, giving her advice, which is being interpreted as being judgmental from someone accusing them of not being a good mom or not being a good parent. So that's the issue. Honorary doctorates are paying for this title, which is called prestige fraud, meaning you're trying to act as if you have a prestigious credential when you really do not. And that's obviously considered fraud. But the way that it comes into harm is that most people are not looking to see, well, did they really earn this degree or did they just buy a certificate? And now that they bought the certificate, they are using it on their social media and on their website to act as if they are something that they are not, to then just get my money or to try to get more social media fame and become YouTube famous. So I'm giving you all of the information today so that you don't fall prey to this and you don't have the experience of the emotional harm that was done to Caroline B from Sara. So I also want to be considered of persons who are experiencing prestige fraud. What usually happens is if you are buying these certificates, it's usually because you have a sense of low career self-esteem or a low personal self-esteem. And you also probably have self doubt, and no sense of your own purpose. And this happens to a lot of people, if not everyone, all of the time as they grow from high school to college, if you go to college, or if you do go to college, you get your master's degree, you can even become an actual real doctor and still have uncertainty about your purpose. So there's no shame in not knowing what your purpose is. There's also not any shame in having low career self esteem or low personal self esteem. But what we do have to recognize is that if this is you, if you are experiencing low self esteem and a higher sense of self doubt, try to be courageous enough to recognize your own worth and to not give into temptations to go for an easy fix or an easy lie just so that you can boost your own self esteem up, because in reality, you still know that you're not a real doctor. You still know that you are lying to people and you're misleading people. That's similar to anyone who will buy likes and buy followers. They're doing it to make people feel as if they have a social type of credibility or legitimate expertise and a legitimate following to make you think, therefore, you should also follow me, buy from me, etc. And so, if you are experiencing your own sense of doubt, low self worth, low career self esteem, try increasing your own self confidence. And you can start doing that by believing in your true value. Don't focus on making a false identity so that you can then become someone or appear to be someone that you are not, and then using your social platform to get likes and followers and dollars, and then you're actually ending up doing more harm to people than you're actually helping them. And also see if you can discover your true purpose. And you can do that by first being honest with what do you truly like in life? What are your true skills, your true passions, and what do you really love to do? And if you had to pick one particular thing that you were put on this earth to do, and that you would be able to not have to worry about any bills or any financial worries, then what would that thing be? And then start from there. But come from a place of recognizing your true purpose and your true value, and avoid comparing yourself to other people and what they're doing, because then when you do that, you reinforce your low sense of self-esteem, your low sense of career self-esteem, and it makes you more vulnerable to the people who are selling these honorary doctorate certificates. So let's again remembering using this science and love. Whenever a person calls themselves doctor, we have statistical studies showing that just being a doctor on a TV commercial will increase sales a whole lot more than if the person was just a regular person without a white lab coat on. If you have a doctorate certificate on your wall in your actual office, you will increase people trusting in you more than if you don't have an honorary doctorate certificate. I'm sorry, not an honorary, but an actual doctorate certificate put on your wall. And this is the problem, because if people automatically believe that you have credibility, that you have expertise, and that you are trustworthy of what you are saying for your medical or life advice, they're going to follow you without question and believe your advice. And again, that's where the harm comes in. So remember that if we have just an automatic visibility of expertise, it's called expertise bias, just by seeing a lab coat, just by seeing a doctoral certificate that they earned or a doctoral degree that they earned on their wall, or just by seeing a white lab coat on a commercial. It is always going to affect the person's perception of that other person who is portraying the doctor on the commercial or the actual doctor in the office as being someone that they are most likely not going to question. And so when you have people who are honorary doctorate certificate holders and they are then calling themselves doctor, they are abusing the trust that society has in putting people who actually have done the work to go to school, usually for 8 or 12 extra years to get this degree, to be able to help people and to do good, to change lives. So now you're having people who are using a workaround to still get the prestige without doing the work and without having the training. And that's causing a lot of confusion, because people are trusting in people who don't deserve the trust and they're getting harmed by it. So yes, going back to Caroline B and Sara, the beef that they're having, I definitely agree that Caroline B is correct because Sara is not even a fake doctor. She's not a doctor at all. And so there needs to be a halt on calling her or anyone else a doctor. But I want to equip you so that you are also not mistreated or misguided by this information. So one way that you can protect yourself is to, when everyone's insisting on being called a doctor, then that might be one clue that they may not actually be a real doctor, but are abusing a doctoral certificate. In actuality, remember, an honorary doctorate certificate holder is not, in the form of etiquette, allowed to call themselves doctor because it's not a real title, nor is it a real degree. So one way you can figure this out is if you look on their websites or LinkedIn or social media profiles, they will either have limited or no education listed. That gives them a way to hide that they're not a real doctor and don't have any real training. They also might use tricky language such as, I have the honor of being a doctor, instead of saying, I have an honorary doctorate certificate. Or they might try to sneak in doctor, knowing that most people will assume that the degree was real or that it was an earned degree. There's also another clue that there is no doctorate that is being completed in 1 year or less. So if they went to one online university, it's usually some international place that they've said that they've graduated from, and it was for only a year, that's another big clue and a big warning sign that they're not a real doctor. And the last thing that we can do as a clue to help protect yourself from persons who are falsely misrepresenting themselves is you can ask them, well, what was your dissertation in? If you have an honorary certificate, you didn't do any work, so obviously you don't have a dissertation. You can also ask, well, how long was your doctorate program? Again, there is no doctorate program that is actual, that is any shorter than 1 year. And in some instances, it's only 2 years or less because they had an extensive master's degree program that was already 5 and 6 years. So those are just a few things that you can look for to protect yourselves and your loved ones. And it's important that we understand that if we continue to perpetuate prestige fraud, then we're also encouraging people who are already having low self-esteem or low career self-esteem and no sense of purpose or a very small sense of purpose and identity. You're rewarding them for being something that they are not. And in the end, they're going to still come into the office or still live a life that's less than fulfilled because they're not being authentic to who they really are. In the Real Housewives of Dubai, Sara even says, I've had like 3 divorces, she has multiple plastic surgeries, and she'll even say, I'm still trying to find myself. But she also says in the end, well, I've worked to do this. I've given over 200 speeches. But 200 speeches, or even one speech or 1 million speech, does not make you a doctor. It just means that you give speeches. So recognize that if you are a good speaker or whatever it is that you are good at doing, then focus on those things as being part of your worth. And if we encourage people to be false and to assume identities that are also false and then to financially benefit from selling this false persona, then you're encouraging other people who are also struggling with their self-esteem to do the same. So I thank you for listening. I hope this helps you make wise decisions and to also have empathy to encourage people who are assuming false identities for sales or to capture your likes and social media following to embrace their authentic self and walk in their true purpose. So remember to continue the conversation in science and love. Walk the path of life. And if you run